If the subject is in motion and strongly blurred, don't worry. There's a way to remove the background in this case as well. Let's first unlock the background layer, rename it to Cowboy, and make a new background behind it. Choose a dark washed out red and name the layer Background. Take the Quick Selection tool and start drawing around the horse and rider. Take the horse's feet as well, and take the shadow too. Use a smaller brush size to select smaller areas, in case the selection goes haywire. Hold the Alt key to reduce the selection area and wrap it around the subject. Now go to Refine Edge and set the View option to On Layers. This way you will see all the remnants of the background which you must take out against the background you just created. Now start painting until you get a result that looks closest to done. If you excluded part of the subject during this selection, you can hold the Alt key and paint it back in. Don't worry about the remaining green areas. We'll take them out in a different way. Select the Output To field to New Layer with Layer Mask. Hit OK. And now let's take the Background Eraser tool. Enlarge the brush size to around 160. And lower the tolerance to say 10%. Now let's get rid of this green shade. This looks good. Okay, let's put different colors behind it to check the results. So there you have it. In this first exercise, we'll remove a one-color background from a product photo. This is useful if you need to make web ads, banners and such. First, let's unlock the background layer by left-clicking this lock over here. Double-click on the name and call it Camera. Before deleting the background, let's add another colored layer behind this one so we can easily check the results. Select the Rectangle tool, and you can start left outside the artboard to make sure you cover it all. Left-click, hold and drag the mouse across the artboard to draw the rectangle. Double-click on the layer thumbnail to change its color, and choose dark red for instance. OK, now name this layer Background, and drag it beneath the camera layer. To automatically delete large areas of the same color, we'll use the Magic Eraser. You can find it beneath the eraser. Left click and hold until this menu appears. Select the magic eraser. You'll see a denied sign because this is a raster tool and it doesn't work with the rectangle we just drew, which is vector. So make sure you select the right layer, in our case the camera. And then left click on the white background. And boom! Looks like we're done. Wait, actually we're not. Notice here that part of the camera was deleted as well. That's because its sides are shiny white and they got deleted along with the white background. So what now? Let's go one step back. Go to the history panel and remove the magic eraser event. Or hit Ctrl Z, it's the same thing. We need to protect the camera's white areas from being deleted. So we're going to use a selection tool to tell Photoshop what to delete. Left click on the quick selection tool and hold to open the drop-down, then select the magic wand tool. Next, left click on the white area to select all the white pixels. Make sure the camera layer is selected. Having a tolerance of 32, it also took parts of the camera. But this will happen regardless of the tolerance, because this area merges with the background. To fix that, select the lasso tool and hold the Alt or Option key. A minus sign will appear next to the lasso cursor. This means we're excluding areas from the selection. Now, while holding Alt or Option, draw around the desired areas. We're going to assume this much is part of the camera. Also this thing here. Okay, whatever this is. And don't forget the dial here. And now the camera is completely isolated. The selection is right. Press the delete key and you should have the background removed nicely. You can now deselect from the select menu to see the results. Here we have a more complicated example where the hair mixes with the background. This is tricky because you can get a ton of different results. Unlock the layer, rename it. Let's make a new background behind it. And make it dark red. And drag it beneath the image layer. Select the first layer, close the Properties tab, and choose the Quick Selection tool. Set the brush size to around 50, this will make the selection process faster. And draw on the subject. Don't worry if you catch some leaves as well, we'll take care of that in a bit. Now let's shrink the brush size to around 20. Zoom in and hold the Alt or Option key. A minus will appear instead of the plus. This means you can subtract parts of the selected area. To add them back, just release the Alt key. Let's take this one out as well. And I'll do the same with the rest. It's best to have a clean selection right from the start. Add more space around the hair. Okay, now we're done. Click on Refine Edge. This will mask the entire background we selected. First, I'll export this result to a new layer to have it handy. And now we're going to get rid of these leaves. Hold the Ctrl or Command key and hover the mouse over this square here, Layer Mask Thumbnail. A dotted rectangle will appear near the cursor. Now left-click on the mask to bring back the selection. Now go to Refine Edge and draw around the hair area where it mixes with the background. What you are drawing now is the area this tool operates on. Let's make it visible by clicking Show Radius. The sliders below will affect this visible area here. Let's play a bit with the values. Contrast will get rid of all the debris around the hair, so we'll use this. Feather will add a transparency gradient over the selected edge. To check the results, change the view mode to different options. Shift Edge will also do kind of a good job, but it also deletes part of the hair, so we'll leave this at a low value. Remember to select the Decontaminate Colors options as well, to reduce the background color influence on the foreground. Choose the Eraser tool, then you can start cleaning up the remaining debris. When you're done, change the background to different colors to check the results. Okay, and the final cleaning up. This is the type of work that's never 100% surely finished. So, this is it. Product photos may contain shadows, and unless you want to recreate the shadow yourself, you're better off extracting it altogether with the product. Also, notice how the far ends of the cigars are out of focus. We're going to deal with that as well. Let's unlock and name this layer Cigars. Draw a new background. And drag it beneath the Cigars layer. Make it a contrasting color. And rename the rectangle to Background. Select the Cigars layer. And now we're going to delete the bulk of the background with the magic wand. Choose a higher tolerance of, say, 60. Then left-click on the white area. Press the Delete key and then Ctrl-D to deselect. And now we have this ugly edge which looks unnatural on other backgrounds. We can't have sharp edges on blurred out objects, so we need to smoothen them out while getting rid of the white color. First, we're gonna separate the shadow from the rest. Click on the lasso tool and left click and hold to start drawing an area from this point on. Make sure you go close to the cigar edge. Take in this part as well. Hold Shift and left click to add more areas to the selection. After you've selected it, cut it with Ctrl X. Create a new layer from the bottom panel here. Name it Shadow. And paste with Ctrl V. Then move the shadow to its original position. Let's zoom in to see the area in detail. Select the Move tool and use the arrow keys to move the layer 1 pixel at a time. We need to make this more transparent and blur its borders. Let's reduce the opacity of the shadow layer to say 75%. Then open the filter menu. Select Blur, Motion Blur. And set a distance of 70. Additionally, you can set an angle to match the original look. Now put a color overlay effect over this shadow to make it darker. To do that, click this FX button here. Select Color Overlay and click on this color swatch to change it. Then choose the same dark brown that you can see underneath the cigars. Press OK, OK again. Now regarding the white rough edges, hold the Ctrl or Command key, go over the cigar's layer thumbnail, and left click on it. This will create a selection around the cigars. Now open the Select menu and choose Modify Border. Let's set it to 20 pixels. What this did was to create a 20 pixels width area around the previous selection, so we can edit only the outlying borders of the image and not the whole cigar pack. Now select the cigars layer, open the filter menu, go to Blur, Gaussian Blur. You can also see here the results. Set the radius to around 6. Hit Ctrl D to deselect or go to Select menu, deselect. Now the borders are smooth and the shadow will go well against any new background you put behind it. Let's see how it looks on a transparent background. We might want to move the shadow up a bit. So select the shadow layer, choose the Move tool and use the arrow keys to move it. Finally, bring the shadow layer beneath the cigars. There you have it. Going forward, I'll show you a second way to deal with shiny hair. We're going to work on the original picture layer. Let's hide the first one. Choose the Quick Selection tool. And draw on the subject. while excluding most of the hair. Hold the Alt key to exclude areas from the selection. We will delete the background using the background eraser, and we want to protect the subject from that. Go to Select and choose Inverse to place the selection on the background. Then choose the background eraser tool. Set its tolerance to around 30%. And its size can stay around 300. Be sure to set the sampling to once and the limits to discontiguous. And start erasing from as close to the hair as possible. Hold the left mouse button while erasing to delete the color you first sampled. Click again to sample a different shade. And repeat that until you take out all of the remaining gray shades. Now let's check the results. Notice there's still an aura around the subject, so we'll continue to sample the finer grays. Careful not to click on the hair's color, you will make it vanish partially. Some of the fine hairs are surrounded by a faint background color still. That's fine if the picture has a transparent background, like so. But if you want to put it on a color or another photo, it will not look good. So let's get rid of what's left. Zoom in, reduce the brush size a bit, and set its tolerance to around 16%. Then sample where the gray is. The tricky part here is to take the right shade of gray. I'm sure they're over 50. This is not okay. Let's go back a few steps. Let's check the results. Hide the background layer. This operation took some of the fine hairs, so on a transparent background it looks airy. But it looks good on color backgrounds. You can also see the difference in results when changing colors. Now deactivate the selection, highlight the picture layer, and flip it horizontally to check the result against the previous exercise. To do that, go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Unhide the top layer, select it, and move it next to the other one using the Move tool. Now you can clearly see the difference. Alright, let's continue with trickier cases. We're going to remove the background around hair. We'll start with an easier example where the background is made of roughly one color. Unlock the name and image, choose a name for it, and select the magic wand. It's under the Quick Selection tool. Set its tolerance to around 50 and left-click on the background to select it. Then go to Select, choose Inverse. The key shortcut is Command or Control plus Shift plus I. Now go to Refine Edge and start drawing around the gray areas until there's nothing left of that background. If you exclude part of the subject by accident, you can put it back by holding Alt and drawing on that area. Now choose the Output to New Layer with Layer Mask. Let's draw a background to verify the results. Name it Background and drag it to the bottom. Double-click the layer thumbnail to change its color. Make it dark washed out red, as this will contrast well with the gray. Notice how there's still some light gray left? It's like an aura. We're going to be taking this out using the background eraser. The background eraser tool is beneath the general eraser. Set its tolerance to around 15. The brush size to say 300. Then set the sampling to once and the limits to discontiguous. Then select the last layer you created. Now you can start sampling the gray to remove it. If you want to check that you didn't delete the subject, toggle the background on and off. You can continue to remove shades of gray until you're happy with the result. Okay, this looks like done. One small issue here is that the hair didn't retain its shine. Refine Edge took it out. So if you think this is good enough, then you're done. Otherwise, in the second part I'm taking a different approach to retain the shine.